All right, guys, welcome in, welcome in. I appreciate you tuning in. We're going to get right into this. Stephen A. Smith. Now, I've never really been a big fan of Stephen A. He knows his sports, but lately, it's almost sounding like Stephen A's been doing a little, getting his feet wet in a Democratic primary and stuff like that, and trying to test the stuff out and see if he's going to actually be a Democratic challenger. He's getting in politics a lot. He's almost like 50-50, 100%. He was sports a few years ago. Now he's 50-50. Now he's 50 sports, 50 politics. He's even debating, some of these Democratic challenges. He's actually having them on his podcast and calling them out. He's talked to Bill Maher and he's talked to John Fetterman, and he had a sit down with Chris Cuomo the other day when he walked out, when the guy was talking about the shutdown and stuff like that. So he really seemed like he's really getting into politics. But you know what the liberal black mob does? If you are a black man and you are critical, just a little critical of other black people, they will come after you hard. Now, mind you, Stephen A. is a liberal, 100%. He is a liberal. He is a black victim person. But lately, he's gravitating more towards the middle. You know what I mean? He seems like he's one of those sensible Democrats, not like, men can be women and all types of stuff. He's already had a stance on that men should be with men and women should be with women. So that was the first time Democrats really came at him. But now, oh my gosh, the black Democrats are upset at Stephen A. Why? Well, because he gave a little critical remark about Jasmine Crockett. Now, we know Jasmine Crockett. If you're unfamiliar with Jasmine Crockett, she represents Texas in the Congress. And I got to tell you, she's one of the most disgusting black racists that we have. How she got elected, I have no idea. But one of the things that you hear from the left, you hear tone down the rhetoric. That's what you hear from the left, right? You hear that all the time, especially after Trump, 2 assassination attempts for Donald Trump. Charlie Kirk was just shot and killed, by the way. And nobody on the left seems to care for whatever reason. But yet when Republicans say, hey, Democrats, you guys are the ones that have this violent, terrible rhetoric, can you tone down the rhetoric? They say, what are you talking about? Well, Jasmine Crockett has called Donald Trump Hitler on many occasions. So Stephen A. was right to call her out and say, hey, look, you know what? Maybe your rhetoric isn't the best. Maybe every time Donald Trump comes on the press conference and says something, maybe don't attack him. Maybe try working with the man instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to tear Donald Trump down every single time he gets on the mic. Now, that's not too critical, but we're going to show you some of these clips from Stephen A. and just see if it's bad or not. But before we do, we're going to get with Jasmine Crockett. And I just want you to understand the person that Jasmine Crockett is, okay? Again, violent rhetoric, calling Trump Hitler.
Side. They understand the importance of standing for what democracy is and making sure that it does not fall by the wayside. They understand that we have a Timu Hitler in the White House right now that thinks that he is going to become the dictator of the United States. Well, I got another thing to tell you.
Timu Hitler in the White House, huh? Oh, okay. Maybe that was just the one. Maybe I'm just making things up. Maybe you're just the one slip up. Let's just see. Hold
on. To this, I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things, but this wannabe Hitler for sure.
Wannabe Hitler again. Now, this is the second time she's called him Hitler. Now, wouldn't you think, whoa, if you're a Democrat, hey, we got to calm this down. We might not like Donald Trump. We might not like his policies. We might not even like him personally, but calling him Hitler is way over the line because you have these mentally ill people that are on the left that don't want Nazis around. So if Jasmine Crockett and all these Democrats are calling them Nazis and calling them Hitler and all this other stuff, you're going to have these mentally ill people try to do something to take him out, which has happened multiple times, mind you. Donald Trump was shot in the face. Charlie Kirk was just killed, and it's because of people like Jasmine Crockett that are inflaming these leftist lunatics. So this is right what Stephen A. had to call him out. So one more clip of Jasmine, just being a racist black woman. Let's just see what she has to say about this.
Now, I am tired of the white tears. Gambling is for the white boys. That's what's happening right now. I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel away and why you can't make me doubt who I am is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Here we go. Black victim. Oh, I had to work 10 times harder. My skin color was just, It's just so hard to overcome in America. The white person is just so easy to get it. And me as a black woman, I just had to work so much harder. Oh my gosh. Are we going to stop with the victim mentality? Please, anybody, one person on the Democrat just say, black people, please shut up about black victimhood. Nobody cares. You're not struggling. Anybody in America can make it. But yet Jasmine Crockett over here has to get the Democratic playbook. And what is it, Democratic playbook? If you're black and you get elected, you have to talk about how bad the white people are. You have to talk about how racist white people are. You have to talk about how much of a struggle it was for you to get into the seat, because we need to make sure black people are victims and stay victims.
Or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so.
Now, mind you, imagine a white person going online right now and saying, hey, you know what? The only reason this black girl got a job because she's a mediocre black girl, but we had to give her a job because she's just a mediocre black woman. This is the racist stuff that I'm talking about by the Democratic Party. Black people are very racist right now, and nobody on the Democratic side is calling them out for whatever reason. But stuff like this is what Stephen A. was talking about. And for Stephen A., even though I don't agree with his policies most of the time, for him to be a Democrat and calling her out, I completely agree with, because he literally just said, if you are a congresswoman or whatever, don't you have better things to do besides being critical of Donald Trump 24/7? But this is what it is. This is the Democratic Party. Mediocre white boys, she just said. Imagine if any white person said that about black people. Would they still have a job? Absolutely not. They'd be kicked off the air. They'd be kicked out of Congress, whatever. But for whatever reason, it's okay for black people to do this. It's a double standard. It's 100% a double standard. But, let's just go to Stephen A. We're going to finally get to Stephen A. and see what he had to say about Jasmine Crockett.
To somebody like that. Ladies, I respect intelligent women, no doubt. But how Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself, I'm like, is that going to help your district, Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the
You know why she can't do that? Well, one, she's an idiot. But you know why she can't do that? Because that is not what Democrats want. They don't want to work with Donald Trump. They don't want to end a shutdown. We all know that it's the Democrats in the Senate that have voted no 12 times to lift, to get rid of the shutdown right now so people can actually start getting paid. That's not what they want. They hate Trump. They don't want to work with Trump. You would think that any sensible Democrat would say, hey, you know what, Donald Trump, I'm not agreeing with your policy, but let's see if we can meet in the middle somewhere. Let's see if we can do this. Not this lunatic leftist agenda of giving money to illegal immigrants and make sure that they're funded by taxpayers. No, we're not going to talk about that. But this is the crazy stuff we were talking about. So, of course, Stephen A. is right to call her out.
Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituents. She's supposed to be there to represent the people of Texas.
Well, those were his original comments, right? So
Oh, but the black media. Ooh, man, the black media came after Stephen A. And you know what? He didn't call her a B word. He didn't call her a name. He wasn't rude, wasn't disrespectful whatsoever. He just said, hey, you know what, Jasmine? Instead of coming at him 24/7, and every time he had to say something, you cuss him out, you dog him out, you call him Hitler, you call him all this stuff. Instead of doing that, why not just say, you know what? He's in power. Let's see what we can do to make sure my constituents, the people that voted for me, are actually happy. And instead of me trying to shut down the federal government, let's see if there's a middle ground right now. Let's see if we can work together. That's what Stephen A. said. But, oh, man, the black mob, they did not like that. See, if you're a black man and you criticize a black man or a black woman, ooh, you are racist. I get called racist all the time. Uncle Tom, coon, bootlicker, I'm kissing a white man's ass. I get called all this stuff just because I'm critical of the black community. And Stephen A. is learning the hard way. You can't just criticize the black community. Now, I hope that Stephen A. realizes that he needs to be more critical of the black community. But no, what does Stephen A do? Oh, no. He stood strong for a week. He stood strong. He's like, you're not going to come after me. But then the black media and the black mob finally won. And then Stephen A caved. He caved and he gave some weak apology. But let's just hear what the black people have to say about Stephen A's criticism about Jasmine Crockett.
Trump, she should understand that he's a man in power and she should figure out a way to work with him. Stephen A said that he doesn't like Jasmine because she sounds too street, yet he spends most of his time screaming at the top of his lungs, sounding like the world's silliest house slave. He says that her verbiage is inappropriate.
That's what they call us.
Understand that he's a man.
That's what they call us, house slave. If you don't agree with the leftist black agenda, which is being a victim in America, and you can't make it, and all white people are racist. If you disagree with that, guess what? You're a house slave. You're a white boy. You're a bootlicker.
And in power, and she should figure out a way to work with him. Stephen A said that he doesn't like Jasmine because she sounds too street, yet he spends most of his time screaming at the top of his lungs, sounding like the world's silliest house slave. He says that her verbiage is inappropriate, yet our president says that he likes to grab women by the How appropriate is that, Stephen? Maybe Jasmine would earn the respect of Stephen A if she sounded more like Candace Owens. Remember, Jasmine is a criminal and civil rights attorney, and Candace spends most of her time on HBCU campuses.
You see how she's calling her Candace? Again, a black woman critical of the black people, and Candace Owens is now called Candace, after KKK, because she's critical of black people. It's funny. If you just say one thing, all of a sudden, you're with the KKK.
Is pushing Turning Point USA agenda. Now, if you remember, Turning Point USA was founded by Charlie Kirk, who said that the civil rights movement was a mistake. This is why nobody gives a about respectability politics, because as a black woman, no matter how educated you are, there will always be somebody there to disrespect you and discredit you. And it's unfortunate that it will always be a man that looks just like you.
Wait, see, and that's funny. So she's obviously on the side of Jasmine Crockett, but did she say anything about when Jasmine Crockett called Donald Trump Hitler? Did she say anything when Jasmine Crockett was saying mediocre white boys and this is for the white boys this and Trump is an old white man? Did she say anything about that racist rhetoric? No, but she's very critical of Stephen A. That's so funny.
Stephen also said that DL Hugley is more of an activist than he is a comedian. But when you see the agenda that's being pushed on black Americans, when you understand that black Americans, especially black women, are being targeted because of the 350-something odd thousand women that have lost their jobs, you do need to be more of an activist than anything else, because somebody has to step up and say something. And Stephen, you could be doing something with your platform other than performing and bootlicking for daddy. But we understand that you...
There we go. Bootlicking for daddy. God, these... Oh my gosh. The victim mentality that black people have in this country is so annoying. And yet she's upset that he's using his platform to call Jasmine Crockett out. And instead of focusing on what he said, which was actually true, that her rhetoric is not doing anything for America, calling him Trump, it's actually getting the crazies all riled up. She's more mad at the person and saying that he's a bootlicker because you're supposed to protect black women.
Need to keep your job. Stephen, you need to do just like your hairline and fall the on back. Black women have lost their jobs. People can't feed their families. Children are getting shot up in schools, and black men are being hung on trees. And the only thing Stephen is worried about is how somebody sounds.
Black hung on trees now. Here, oh my gosh. So I wonder if she's going to address all the black on black crime in America. You know, the statistics of 13% of the population is committing over 50% of crime. Is she going to address any of that? But she says black people are being hung on trees. What about the black people that are getting killed left and right in Chicago? 54 people killed over Labor Day weekend. I wonder if she's going to address that.
One of the few people, mind you, one of the few people that are actually fighting for us. So T. Daddy Trump, please drop off some D at Stephen's door. He's been begging for it.
I think when you start messing around with Jasmine Crockett, that's a whole different area for us.
Here's some other sensitive black people that did not like what Stephen A. had to say.
It touches a different nerve. Yeah. One, because obviously she is a black woman, but you're dealing with someone who is being attacked every which way we turn, right? Like you got Donald Trump calling her low IQ regularly on his social media posts. You have Laura Loomer calling her every kind of BITCH, basically ghetto. I mean, she said
Jasmine Crockett is ghetto.
Said so many things that I was like, wow, this is actually fighting words here. Like when I hear Stephen A. Smith saying it's not all in a day's work and you're not being effective if you spend your day dealing with insults. Well, we as black people are being insulted from the time we wake up in the morning till the time we go to bed at night.
Oh, here we go with the black victim mentality. Does every single Democrat that's black have this victim mentality? All of a sudden, black people are getting attacked from the moment you wake up. What are you talking about? Do they, to get into the Democratic Party, do you just have a playbook and say, hey, look, if you're going to be talking on social media or whatever platform, here's the Democratic playbook, okay? You need to stick to this, okay? You need to just be a victim. You need to just say that white people are bad and white people are racist. That's all you need to say. We know that it's not true, but stick to the playbook, black people.
Every single day, and the insults are not just words, it's actually backed up by actions of to me, a very evil administration. So we appreciate the work that Jasmine Crockett is doing. And, then he goes on to say, aren't you supposed to be delivering things for your constituents? Well, I think we need to challenge that, because in many ways, he's aligning himself with this idea that black women are not productive, that we're not smart.
No, it has nothing to do with being black. It has everything to do with your job. She has constituents, people that have voted for her. And instead of going to Donald Trump and calling him racist and calling him Nazi and calling him Hitler and all this other stuff, work for your constituents, people that voted for you, and see how you can better their lives. Instead of getting on the mic, getting the job, getting on the mic and be like, hey, I know you voted for me. I don't care about you. My job now is to promote my political career. I'm going to skyrocket my political career by condemning Donald Trump, calling him racist, calling him Hitler. Yes, I know I have to represent these people of Texas, but I don't care about them. I need to focus on myself and call Donald Trump Hitler so everybody can be mad at him, so people can look at me and all the lights can come on me so I can advance my political career. That's what it is. That's what these people do when they get the job. As soon as they get elected, they think of something else. They forget about the people who voted for them. And they're sticking to the Democratic playbook of calling white people racist and victim mentality. So this is my problem that I have. Now, Stephen A., he was standing firm for a little bit. Again, he was standing firm for about a week, 2 weeks, and then he starts, slowly caving. You're going to see what I'm talking about.
But yet, here we are. And the word disrespect comes in, and people try to engage with words, like disrespect and implying misogyny and all of this other nonsense. Stop it. Can we just say, yo, Stephen A., I disagree with you. Here's why. We got Willie D. Put up that quote, please. He's putting out quotes or text or tweets about me. Let's see that again. Stephen A. Smith taking shots at Jasmine Crockett ain't just messy, it's weak. Dude is sitting on one of the biggest mics in America, and instead of using it to uplift, he's tearing down a black woman who's out here putting in real work. That ain't critique, that's betrayal. Jasmine Crockett ain't the problem. She's the kind of woman who walks into rooms full of snakes and makes the snakes flinch. Meanwhile, Stephen's showing what happens when the paycheck gets louder than the principal. That sucker, straight up. End quote. Wow, Willie D. You sure are uplifting. I mean,
it's unfortunate right now. And Stephen A. is now realizing the backlash. But instead of just sticking with it and saying, hey, look, I'm not going to back down. I wasn't rude. I wasn't disrespectful. I didn't call her any names. I just said that she needs to focus on her job and represent the people that have voted for her, instead of every time Donald Trump gets on a mic, you call him a Nazi, you call him Hitler. But every single black leftist Democrat, oh my gosh, they came after Stephen A., and they're still coming after Stephen A. So what does Stephen A. do? Because he's still on ESPN and he still has a sports show and all this other stuff, he eventually caved. And here's Stephen A. caving to the woke leftist black mob.
Here right now. I wanted to take a moment because I saw something disturbing in regards to President Donald Trump and how he came at Representative Jasmine Crockett. And I wanted to take this opportunity to attack this issue as it pertained to me and Jasmine Crockett, because I personally have had an issue with how things have been misconstrued and misinterpreted. But at the end of the day, I have to own it. And that's what I'm going to do today. And so when somebody says to me, Stephen, rather than point to her and her verbiage and her language and how she talked about the president, what about how he talks?
Here we go. He caved. Stephen A. stood firm for about a week and called out Jasmine Crockett for violent, racist behavior. And I just showed you the clips. She's nothing more than a black racist Democrat. And Stephen A called her out. But yet the black mob, oh my gosh, they came after him and now he's caved. He is now apologizing.
I personally have had an issue with how things have been misconstrued and misinterpreted. But at the end of the day, I have to own it. And that's what I'm going to do today. And so when somebody says to me, Stephen, rather than point to her and her verbiage and her language and how she talked about the president, what about how he talks? I have no problem with that. I can understand that. And if that is the reason that everybody is in an uproar, that is fine. And I have no problem apologizing to my sister because, damn it, I want her to know I don't feel that way about her. Just like I didn't feel that way about Kamala Harris. Just like I don't feel that way about the marvelous, the wonderful, the incomparable, the greatest first lady ever, and Michelle Obama, in my estimation, or anybody else. Okay. But what we
here we go. The greatest first. What did Michelle Obama do that made her the greatest first lady? You know, he's only saying that because he's trying to win back the black community, because the black community came at him hard for criticizing Jasmine Crockett, and they all turned on him because guess what? Most of the black people that came at him are victim mentality. And if you're black, you can't criticize them. And that's the dumbest thing in the world. You don't see white people arguing and say, hey, you voted for Biden? You're not white. That is only something that the dumb black people in this America do. And it's the dumbest thing in the world. How dare you equate skin color to my opinion, to my belief? You're sitting there saying that I'm not black anymore because I criticize Jasmine Crockett, which, by the way, she's an elected official. We should be critical of the people that we elect into office because they're supposed to represent us, period, end of story. But whenever a white person comes at Donald Trump, you don't see other white people say, oh, I can't believe you're saying that about Donald Trump. You're not white. Nobody says it except for the black community.
Going to do on this show is understand who the hell I am and how it's going to be as long as I'm doing this show. I have no problem apologizing if I'm wrong. I have no problem apologizing if I've made somebody feel a certain kind of way.
Why? He had nothing. There was nothing wrong with what he said. Absolutely nothing wrong. He wasn't rude. He wasn't calling her names. He just said Jasmine Crockett. Every time Donald Trump goes on a mic, you call him a Nazi, you call him Hitler, you call him all this stuff. You enrage your leftist lunatic base that eventually tried to take him out, which again, he's had 2 assassination attempts on him. He got shot in the face. And it's because of people like Jasmine Crockett that are inflaming the mob. So when he said, hey, look, maybe instead of calling Donald Trump all these names, maybe you should get to work like people voted for you to do for your constituents and do something besides, hey, calling Donald Trump a racist, which, by the way, does nothing for America. Get to work. Stop being a victim. Stop being a lazy black person in the Democratic Party and acting like you had to work so much harder. You saw that clip. Oh, she had to work so much harder because of her black skin, and the white people just had it so much easier. But she had to work 10 times harder. And for whatever reason, we're still buying that. So for Stephen A., I was very supportive of Stephen A. when he called her out. And I'm like, wow, that's great. A Democrat actually calling somebody out that's on the same party and saying, hey, your real rhetoric is not helping America. But what happened? The leftist mob, the woke black people in America came at him so hard that he had to cave and he had to apologize. This is Stephen A., I got to tell you right now, if you're trying to be any type of politician, you got to stand firm in your beliefs, man. You didn't do anything wrong when you called her out. You were absolutely right to call her out, but you found out now that black people don't care about truth in America. If you're on the left, they don't care about truth. They care about emotions. And what makes them emotional is when you come at black people because they are super sensitive. You can't criticize any black person in America now, because if you do, you're racist. That's what it is, unfortunately. So Stephen A. learned the hard way, and he caved to the woke black mob, and that's unfortunate because he was absolutely right to call her out. It's unfortunate, but that's where we are in America. So Stephen A., I supported you, man. I supported you, but did not like the apology at all. I don't think that you needed to apologize. I think you needed to stand firm, but at the same time, you do have a lot of black people watching First Take, so maybe you were worried that they would leave the show. Your ratings would go down if you stand firm to your Jasmine Crockett response. So maybe you got pressured into apologizing. I don't know. I don't care. You're not a politician. You're a sports commentator, and you're now kind of getting your feet wet into politics. But did not like the apology at all, my man. So we're going to see what happens. We're going to see if the black media is now, started to embrace Stephen A. if everything's all good, or, or have they not forgotten the things that he said? We're going to see in the next coming days. Well, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. I'm out of here.